Welcome back to Make It Stick. Let's jump into Anki to begin with. What we got? 5. What are the 7 sections of Chapter 7 increase your abilities? Neuroplasticity, is IQ mutable? Brain training, growth mindset, deliberate practice, memory cues, the takeaway. What are the 7 tools / habits for calibrating your judgment? 7 tools / habits for calibrating judgment. 7 tools / habits for calibrating judgment. Testing / retrieval practice. Gosh dang it, what was after that? Peer instruction. Pay attention to what cues you're using to judge whether you're learning well or not. It is. For peer feedback, such corrective feedback / peer feedback, mentorship / groups, simulators, mistakes you make in the actual field through experience. What is the main idea of Chapter 5, Avoid Illusions Knowing, in 1 sentence? What is the main idea of Chapter 5? Right, objective understanding of our strengths and weaknesses, what we know, what we don't know, is critical for continuous learning and improvement. And however, it can be led astray through illusions, memory distortions, faulty narratives, and common study techniques. Objectively accurate understanding of one's strengths, weaknesses, what he does and doesn't know is critical for continuous learning and improvement, but his understanding is easily led astray from cognitive biases, illusions, memory distortions, faulty narratives, as well as common study techniques. Pretty much really good, except for cognitive biases, but we'll say good. What are desirable difficulties and why do they enhance learning? Desirable difficulties are essentially things that impede short-term learning, short-term progress and gains, but lead to longer lasting, stronger, better retention, better learning, deeper learning. Challenges that feel hard but promote deeper encoding and stronger memory. Wait, I didn't read it. Likely due mostly to increased cognitive effort. All right, I know that. I didn't say it, but I didn't read it yet. I'm going to call it good. What are the 6 learning differences that matter that were discussed in Chapter 6, Beyond Learning Styles? Reading and language fluency and abilities and skills. Beliefs about oneself and his abilities or abilities in general. The degree to which one takes responsibility for his own learning and learning, knowledge, education. Growth minds, that's more of the beliefs. I don't know what else. Degree to which one takes responsibility for his own degree of structure building, degree of rule learning. How you see yourself and your abilities, okay. Language and reading, intelligence, just straight up intelligence. All right, again, we'll do that tomorrow. All right, what were we reading about yesterday? Well, we're getting very close to finishing up Make It Stick here. We were reading about, I believe, some biology professor, Mary Pat Wenderoth or something, and just how she applies learning science to her classroom experience. It's just some key some big picture things. The Bloom's taxonomy. She grades her exams categorizes different exam questions based on Bloom's taxonomy, and then the more open-ended questions, she basically gives examples for answers based on different, like, this is a level 1 knowledge, this is a level 2 conceptual or understanding, this is a level 3 application answer, up to level 6, which is analysis, I believe. So Bloom's taxonomy, free recall. So after every class, students have to sit there and write for 10 minutes about what they learned, and then they're encouraged to compare that to their notes, find the things that they forgot, and then focus on learning those things better. Like, those are the priorities then. Weekly kind of synthesis. So at the end of every week, or at the beginning of every week, they have to turn in an assignment, just a piece of paper with drawings, diagrams, key ideas from the week's previous, or the previous week. More frequent, lower stakes quizzes, right, I think, which is closing the gap in the, wait, hold on, what was this? At some point there was a closing the gap for the sciences, and by using a higher structure class, meaning more exams and retrieval built into the class that are lower stakes rather than fewer that are higher stakes. I think that might have been yesterday. I don't know what section that would have been in, but that wasn't in the biology professor's section. Okay. Instead of study groups, she used something called like testing groups. Maybe not testing groups. There's some term where study groups are typically, a group of kids. One kid who knows the answer for a particular thing is telling everyone else, and everyone else is trying to memorize it. The other one, her version is, I think it might be called testing group. It's more along the lines of everyone's kind of questioning, asking each other, putting their bits of information together, and trying to come to a conclusion together. She also has these questions she'll occasionally ask, or just like a 1-paragraph response. Yeah, I think that's most of it. I don't think we got into the next professor after that, so. California blue, singing to you. Oh yeah, that wasn't hers. Oh, we weren't even done with reading hers. We're still in this section. Right. High structure versus low structure. High structure helping everyone, but especially the lowest performing students, the least preferred students. The whole thing about like people who have aptitudes, characteristics that would do well in scientific careers but can't make it through these intro classes. Higher structure classes help them get through and learn the material they need to. Testing groups, yep, I was right. The term. One thing I forgot was she teaches her students about the testing effect and other evidence-based learning techniques, but also about illusions of knowing and growth mindset. Great stuff. All right, I want to jump back into reading more. I'll be back to recall in a little bit. All right, so another day. We finished up that biology professor section. Nothing really note after that. At the end, it was just 1 paragraph kind of saying, this is how we do it in the teaching the students, that this is how we do it in the science profession, and helping them get up when they fall, and teaching them how to think to be the professionals they want to be. Then we started this section on another professor who teaches at West Point, psychology professor. They talked about the pedagogical approach at West Point, which is called like the Thayer method, I believe. Superintendent Thayer from 200 years ago set up this method, which seems to be pretty effective based on our current evidence 200 years later. So that's potentially pretty lucky, but nonetheless, the Thayer method is a high structure based pedagogy where in class students have like basically daily quizzes, daily problem sets. They work with other students in like peer instruction, basically to work through problems and activities, all based on clear learning objectives. And then they talked about some other points of West Point, just being like a lot of stuff that the students have to handle. So they have to prioritize, they have to learn to prioritize. Then they kind of talked about bringing up shooting the azimuth again, how they learn how to shoot an azimuth in military school, and how that is like quizzing. Quizzing is like showing you, are you on the right track? Are you heading in the right direction? Or no, are you not? So the quizzing and active recall being shooting the azimuth, that story or that analogy. We learned that analogy way back, chapters ago, and probably to learn retrieve or something like that. And I never really got it, but now it's very simple now. Or I kind of got it, but now I clearly get it. And just some other points. The professor taught 2 students that became Rhodes Scholars. One of them was the woman who talked about shooting the azimuth in the early chapters. So pretty cool that, hey, look, they got Rhodes Scholars. That's pretty cool. Those are, I think there's only like 10 to 20 per year. So pretty cool. Yeah, and they focus at West Point on concepts, not facts, and big picture concepts and understanding rather than details, small picture, details, words, etc. So that's cool. Finally, we started the next section on another psychology professor, who uses basically what we've read so far. She does low stakes quizzes at the end of each lecture. So we're seeing a pattern here. All these professors have done lots of active recall in class with stakes. So lots of low stakes quizzing, high structured classes. It's an underlying theme I'm seeing. Pretty cool though, guys. Pretty cool that we're now on page 237 and a half out of 253. That's 15 and a half pages away from finishing this book, so maybe 15. So that's it for right now. I'll talk to you tomorrow. See ya.